We are still talking about chili farming right here, and right here with Arthur, who is the owner of Lad Mix Farm. This is actually amazing information if you're interested in doing chili farming right here in northern Uganda. You know, he's saying you can do it because it can grow here. He's having about 6 acres of chili, and it's quite amazing. You've already touched a bit of it because that was my next question actually. I wanted you to take me through, some of the things that someone need to know when doing chili farming, maybe from the start to somewhere there. But you've already touched a bit of it. But you can take us through someone who does not know anything about chili. Where do you start from, for you to get some good chili? Yeah.
Thank you so much, Charles, for that question, because then I can be able to give you step by step.
Yes.
First, you need to identify the variety you're going to plant. You can only identify the variety once you talk to the exporting companies. They'll tell you the variety they prefer for you to grow, because that's what the market is demanding.
Yeah.
When you do get that, some of these companies have the seed. They'll be able to give you, and you go and you propagate.
Yeah.
Others, they'll refer you to some companies that sell some of these seeds.
Yeah.
You'll be able to go and buy, and then you set up your nursery bed. But as you set up your nursery bed, make sure that you operate and open up the soils. They have to be very loose soils, well prepared gardens, because chili does not like weeds. If you try and see here, we've tried as much as possible to avoid a lot of weeds,
Yeah, true.
creating some kind of competition with the chili.
Yeah.
And so the garden has to be weed free if you are going to, because if you leave the weeds to be grown, say like this one which they left out accidentally, as you try to remove it, there is a way it can create friction on the chili, and then cut it and create a line. Once it has that blemish, the exporting company will sort it out. So there is a lot of sorting. But to let you know that once you have the chili and you've planted it well, you need to get in touch with the agronomist of that particular company, who will come and supervise you and come and look at the garden. See the agronomic practices you're using, the challenges or gaps that are there, and advise you accordingly. When you're about to start harvesting, they actually make sure that they come and visit you on the farm, including once they feel that it is beginning to bring fruit of this size, they now go back and they recommend a government inspector to come and look at it. They want to ensure that what is coming from this particular garden is going when it is healthy enough to be consumed. Otherwise, they don't want a certain product to tarnish the image of the country when you export something that is below standard. That's the role of the government inspector to come, and some of them will even take the samples and go and test and make sure that it is not having either some pests that have made some holes and maybe laid eggs in there, or whether they'll even recommend to you the recommended chemicals that you're supposed to spray against, either treating with your anthracnose or fungal infections, and how you can eliminate the the virus affected plants. It is important that as you plant and as you wait for the chili to grow, to get in touch with what they call the lead farmer in your sub-region. Each region has what they call a lead farmer. He's the one who can come also if the inspectors and the agronomists of the company are not around, to come and look at your garden. When you harvest, by the way, when they come, they always give you certain books that you're supposed to use to monitor, and you record whatever you're seeing. And that one is done twice every week. You go into the garden, observe what is happening, record. If there's something that you don't understand clearly, you ring them and let them know. But also when you're sending this chili, you'll send it to the exporting company. But these forms, it's supposed to be escorted by the forms that you're going to get from this particular book, where you've been registering your observations. Now that particular document, you actually channel it through your lead farmer. He's the one who knows where he'll direct it to the ministry and so forth. Now that one provides evidence of what you've been doing, and the chemicals you've been spraying, and the the duration or frequency you've been applying this kind of what of agronomic practice. And so when they look at the fruit, they'll compare with the notes that you have and be able to determine how. So even if they go and do the tests, and if you're doing things right, they'll come and say, okay, it's corresponding with what you have actually written in what in this particular form. But very important also, remember we have some challenges also when it comes to this, especially when you send to some of these companies. Remember, you may get overwhelmed at some point with the product, and maybe all the exporting companies that you had interaction with either have taken sufficient volumes from you, but you still have some balance, and this time you want to get in touch with any other person who would want to take it. But some of those ones you've not had an understanding with from the beginning have a tendency of ripping people off. When you give them a product, they will either under declare and say out of 500 kilograms I've been able to harvest, to sort out 100, and they say the 400 were rejected, which may not be the case. Others, even with the 100 you've given them, others want to fleece you and don't want to pay you the chili. And remember, you've invested in a lot. If you've not gone through your lead farmer and who is getting in touch with these unscrupulous companies, not so many, there are a few, but they are there, then you end up losing. But if you have used the lead farmer, you're safeguarded, because he'll be able to what? To shield you. He'll be able to report to the board that supervises these exporting companies, and they'll hold that company to respond and pay you up. There are many chances that many people will reach you on phone, on WhatsApp, and they want you, and they'll even send you some deposit, and then you just tell you put it in the bus, and if you're so quick to do it, you may not see the balance, and they'll rip you off. So that's
it's
another
advisable you go through your lead farmer.
Exactly.
And before you proceed, let me ask, who is the lead farmer of northern Uganda?
The lead farmer of northern Uganda is based in Lama sub-region. And he's called Mr. Patrick. And he'll always move and supervise your garden wherever you are, and see how you're conducting. Actually, even when you're doing the harvesting, the lead farmer is supposed to be there and observe that what you're harvesting, because remember, when you send these forms to him, he has to append his signature, and he wants to append a signature on a crop that is sure, that is of the standard. And so it's important that it is to the advantage of the farmer to make sure that you interact well with the agronomist of the company, with the government inspectors, with your regional lead farmer, before you can engage with the exporter. Because then you'll have their backup. Yes, please.
Wow, that's a very important information that someone has actually to know. So meaning chili farming is a little different. There are actually certain procedures you have to follow. There are certain things you have to put in place. And that's really important to actually know.
Just to alert you also. Just to give you examples. There are ways in which sometimes this chili is genuinely rejected by the exporter. He might tell you that I want green chili. Yes, you choose green chili, but some of these chilies you find that if you've taken more than 2 weeks before harvesting, it's getting hardened, it's getting more or less, trying to ripen. Once you see it turning more green, and before it turns red, then you just know that that particular chili is too mature. And there are those, you see, like this one, yes, it's turning red, but it first gets black, dark a little bit before. So if you harvest chili that is mature, if you harvest the chili that is mature and you put it in the bag, by the time it reaches the desk or the table of the exporting company, remember, whenever you send, remember you put it in the boxes, in the sacks and so forth. You'll find that there is a tendency of, they'll always pour it on their tables to sort. Yes, because they are not sure of what you've taken. And you remember, for us, we normally put, for instance, in sacks. And they put it in the boots of these buses and so forth. So somewhere, some of these are manhandled. So you find there are damages, broken ones, those which are not fit. So whenever you send, let's say 500 kilograms, they'll pour them on the table, sorting table, at Kampala level of the exporting company, and they'll sort. Whatever they're comfortable with, they'll pack it in their exporting boxes, say in 3 kilograms each, or 5 kilograms, or 10 kilograms, depending. So whatever has passed is what they'll pay you for. The other reject, you're either free to go and take it back and dry it.
Yeah.
But in most cases, you throw it because you have enough here. You don't need to go and pick or take the reject that is there.
Yeah.
So it's important that how you handle this product. If they say they want green chili,
yeah,
you've picked green, but it's mature green.
Yeah.
By the time it reaches there, it is turning like this. He's not going to take it because it's no longer green. It's something between green and red, and that is at Kampala level. By the time they put it on a flight to go to say in a particular destination, it is now red. Remember, the market has requested for green, not red. So in that case, he can end up rejecting the whole consignment.
Wow.
And that is to your disadvantage.
Yeah.
You see, which can be, you know. The other thing is when you are harvesting, if for instance they want the chili Sunday morning.
Yes.
You are supposed to harvest on Saturday from morning up to evening and ensure you transport that chili Saturday night.
Oh, okay.
And then they can receive it Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Why? Because when you send it, they'll be able to get it when the stock is still fresh.
Yeah.
Remember, when you're harvesting chili, you don't just pick anyhow and you do maybe something that is like this.
Yeah.
They don't want that.
Oh,
when you pick, you have to pick and make sure that you leave the stock on. This is what preserves the chili for a longer period of time when it is on the shelves out there on the market.
Okay.
So sometimes if you pick chili and you send it and the stock is already withering, shrinking and drying off, even if it is green and looking nice, they will reject the whole chili because the market out there wants this when it is still fresh. So that's another case. And we've had both cases where our chilies have been rejected over a ton. You take it and it is rejected. And so it becomes a learning, experience for ourselves as we try to improve. So you need to be in touch with the company, agronomist. They have to move together with the government inspector and the lead farmer if you're not going to incur some of these challenges. Thank you.
Okay. Oh wow, there's actually a lot to learn right here. Personally, I'm getting to learn a lot. So meaning once I'm ready maybe to venture into chili farming, at least I know where to start from and the right thing to do. As a chili farmer, someone who has been doing it for quite some time, what are some of the challenges that chili farmers normally face?
One thing, obviously, I've told you is about the transportation if you're in the northern part of the country. Unless if you know that you have your own means of transport, then you can put it in your own pickup and transport. That's ours. One of the problems is what? Transport.
Yes.
And the other one is handling. The handling, once you take to some of these bus companies that do the transportation, they'll manhandle because they want to squeeze as much as possible to maximize, the volumes in a particular boat. And these are perishables. So if they don't handle with care, then it becomes what? A problem. The other ones now that is based on the garden, there are pests that like boring, putting holes into this chili, trying to lay eggs and so forth. Then the other challenge, of course, we have diseases. I've told you that fungal infections are quite many. But we also have the virus. Like this particular one is infected by virus.
I'm actually saying it's quite different.
So that means that's why you find it has those blemishes on it. You find it is green but having some yellow spots, patches. If you take that, this one they can't. They have to sort it out. So meaning this one, if it's a viral infection, we are supposed to just uproot, shake the soil there, and carry it and throw it at the boundary. Otherwise, it ends up infecting the other one. Ends up infecting the other one. But so that's those are some of the challenges. And as a way of trying to control them, we have certain chemicals that we spray. But we also, if you have noticed, we have what we call stickers. There are some which are blue. You'll be able to capture and you see them. We have the yellow ones also. But we also have what we call the fruit fly traps, which have their own pheromone, traps within. Those attract all these kinds of insects. So you'll find you have insects, yes, but they'll not be as intense as when you don't have them. You see, this is to try and reduce on the occurrence of these pests and diseases that really affect you in the garden. Yes, please.
Okay. Now you've touched that thing already. Let's talk about it. I've been moving around the garden and I'm seeing something blue, in the garden. Let's get to know what are those, and do you have to just make it locally, or do you buy it? What exactly do they do?
Okay, thank you so much. Now, when you do establish your chili garden, you're supposed, as I told you, to ensure maximum agronomic practices to avoid diseases and pests. Remember, it's an export product, and it has a bearing on the reputation of the country. If you take it to an export and they take it and they find that it is infected, so each exporting company has what they call an agronomist, a company agronomist.
Oh, okay.
And even if you start and you don't have the financial resources to actually have these traps, most of these companies have these traps and the stickers and so forth. They'll give them to you in advance, because it's also in their interest to make sure that they export a product that is healthy. So these ones, we have money to get them from some of these exporting companies that we're working with, and we're able to establish them. And once you have it set, that's when the agronomist will also bring the government inspector to see the level of preparedness that you have really put on your farm, and see whether the traps are working well, the kind of insects that are being trapped, and whether the pheromone traps and so forth are well set. And also to look at the regime of how you're doing what? Spraying the chemicals on your farm. What particular chemicals are you using? Are those that are recommended, that can pass the export board, or there are those that are banned? They'll be able to guide you in all that. And then you can be able to move ahead. That's why I tell you that for chili farming, you have to be extremely careful on how you do carry out each step, because it is to your advantage. And once you do it well, the sky is the limit, because then you can keep on harvesting and you're sure that your product will be taken. And you also have to build your own reputation, because exporters, once each time they test their chili and they find your chili and it's passing the test, whenever they come to the garden and they find it ready, it becomes easier for them to always look at you. Remember, you're not the only person supplying them. There are so many.
True.
So if they have lesser say the orders, they say sometimes they would want 4 tons or 8 tons. But there are times when they need only like 500 kilograms in a particular week. So instead of tapping through the other farmers, they'll always zero down to this particular farmer whom they know doesn't normally have all these challenges, and they're not going to start sorting and so forth. So once you handle your garden properly, be sure they'll also be giving you market quite often. Yes, please.
You've talked of chili, like one kilogram at 2,000, or some at 3,000. Talking about chili, is this something that you would say it's if you grow it, then you manage to go through all these the challenges. Would you say it's something very profitable that people of northern Uganda or Uganda should think of doing?
Actually, this is why I chose this particular product, because as we go into farming, we have to be really target farmers. You want to go into farming when you're sure that what you're planting, there's a market for it, but not just market, it's paying you well.
True.
I've told you that once you establish a nursery and you put in the seeds, it takes 1 month. Then if you transplant it, it takes 1.5 to 2 months, and then you start harvesting. So say you started harvesting mid-May or end of May. So each month you're going to harvest twice, and each time you're harvesting a minimum of 500 kilograms. So if it's fetching you and 2 acres, you'll be able to get your 1 million shillings. And that means every month you're getting your 2 million shillings. So that is some consistent money. And remember, you just keep weeding and make sure that you spray it, make sure the traps are well set. And if you look after the garden properly, you can even harvest after 2 weeks in a particular farm for a full year. And that is very good income, looking at chili. The only challenge is, the only setback we might have as the region in northern Uganda, we're a little bit far from the market, the exporters, because remember, it's very far from the center, and if you don't have your means of if you have your means of transport, it can be but it's also a bit costly, because for instance, me, I'm based in Waya. From Waya to Gulu, before it goes into a bus, I have to pay a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
And then from Gulu to Kampala, I also have to pay another amount of money. But say if you're in Luwera and you're closer to the road in those other districts, from there you just drive maybe a kilometer or half a kilometer, or you're almost along the road. There you compete more favorably. And you'll not incur a lot of losses like somebody who's this way.
Remember,
but there are other companies that keep on asking for people who would want to grow chili, and it's a very good crop if you can go into it properly and you know exactly how to look after it. It can give you good returns. I encourage people who can go into chili farming to embrace it. At least it has sufficient amount of money that you can earn from it.
Wow, that is amazing. Then lastly, someone who is thinking of doing chili right here in northern Uganda, what would be your last word to them, or what exactly do they need to know, your advice to them?
Okay, just to let them know that chili is a crop that you need to give attention right from the word go. From the time you establish the nursery bed, it has a specific way you make sure that you make sure that the seedlings, the seeds that you put there are not going to be eaten by some of those ones and so forth. But when you shift it and you ensure that there are no weeds in your garden, I can assure you it's a crop that can give you, if you look at the chilies that we have, you'll be able to capture some of them. You find they're very big, healthy, and green. Very, very, very shiny and attractive. So this is what sells in the market. And that's why I'm telling you, let's embrace chili farming. But as you do it, go about it the proper way. Start with the market and you will not go wrong. Thank you.
Wow, you're welcome. Thank you for your time, and thank you for watching. This is Lad Makes Farm, and I'm right here with Mr. Arthur. If you are thinking of doing chili farming in northern Uganda, it's actually something you should probably think of. And Mr. Arthur is having a YouTube channel. It's called Lad Makes Farm, where you can get all the details about chili here. And then there's quite a lot he's doing. What pineapple, goats farming, and quite a lot. So my name is Layoo Charles, and this is the Ugandan farmer. We're bringing to you stories of Ugandan who are into farming. Subscribe to this channel, and of course I'll see you in our next video.